That is, on Saturday, we completed some properties. That is, classification of elements into blocks and modern periodic table. Already we completed it. In that modern periodic table, there are some limitations. What are the limitations of that modern periodic table? So those limitations are, why those 14 lanthanide elements and actinide elements placed at the bottom of the periodic table? Why are those included in main body of the periodic table? There is no reason for that one. Why lanthanides and actinides, that is the block element at the bottom, why those are not included in main body? Next, hydrogen. What is this hydrogen? What is the placement for this hydrogen? Hydrogen, it is a non-metal, it is a gas. That is placed in metals, that is 1A group element. So even though that hydrogen is not included in alkali metals, but there is placed above these alkali metals, but its properties are not equal to alkali metals, even though. Okay, so even though some limitations are there, but most of the applications are there. That is why. So to give the perfect explanation to the elements. So the scientists doing like that. Okay, so whatever it may be, that is the best one up to now. Okay. Next, after that, in that periodic table, there are certain properties. Elements have every element has certain properties. How these properties are varied along groups and periods. So those are explained under the heading periodicity and periodic properties. Periodicity and periodic properties. What is this periodicity and periodic properties? Now our topic is periodicity and periodic properties. Periodicity and periodic properties. Periodicity, that means periodically. Periodically means orderly, in a regular order manner. For example, so every day 9 to 10:30 roughly, our chemistry class going on every day. Today 9 exactly chemistry class started. Next, tomorrow at exactly 9 o'clock. That means after certain completion of time, the property is repeated. The class is repeated. So today 9 and tomorrow 9, day after tomorrow 9. That means after a particular period of time, the property will reappear, repeated. That is reappeared. The type of properties which are repeated after certain intervals of time. So after some intervals, for example, here those intervals are after 2 elements, after 8 elements, after 8 elements, 18 elements, 18 elements, 32 elements. What are these? These are the number of elements present in the particular period. It is first period element, second period element, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh period is simply incomplete. Okay, that means the property of element repeated at a regular interval. So that repetition of those properties are called as periodic properties, and that repetition is called as, those properties are called as periodic properties, and that repetition is called as periodicity. And that repetition is called as periodicity. So what is periodicity and periodic properties? Repetition of certain properties at regular intervals, that is 2, 8, 8, 18, 18, 32. Are called as periodic properties in periodic table, and that property is called as periodic property, and the nature is, and the phenomenon is known as periodicity. Repetition of certain properties at a regular intervals 2, 8, 8, 18, 18, 32 in periodic table with increase of atomic number is called as periodic property, and the phenomenon is known as periodicity. So there are number of periodic properties in our syllabus are there. So one by one I am going to explain. All those are the examples for this periodicity and periodic properties. So those are atomic size or atomic radius, Next, ionization energy, electron gain enthalpy, electronegativity, acidic and basic nature of oxides. Okay, so next number of the type of properties are there. Those are the important topics in our syllabus. Okay, so after that is I'm going to take one by one daily. So today I'm going to take there is atomic size and atomic radiation. So that is a periodic property, one of the periodic properties. So today we are going to complete. So in particular, one of those periodic properties, that is atomic size or atomic radius. So now I'm going to take that periodic property, that is atomic size and atomic radius. Before going to take the concept, there is an important topic to explain every property, that is effective nuclear charge. After completion of this topic, effective nuclear charge, I am going to take the periodic property explanation. Okay, so now I am going to take what is the property here? Effective nuclear charge. What is this effective nuclear charge? How is it calculated? How it influences the periodic properties? So every time I am going to explain, so due to effective nuclear charge, this property increases, this property decreases. So everywhere you have a doubt, sir, what is the effective nuclear charge? That's why first of all I am going to complete this effective nuclear charge. So later this one is I am going to use them. Okay, so see here. Now our topic is screening effect. By using this screening effect, effective nuclear charge is calculated. What is this screening effect? So what is this screening effect? Screening effect is nothing but, see here, my dear boys, please listen carefully. Every point is important. So see here. This is the nucleus of the atom. Nucleus of the atom. These are the orbits where electrons revolve around the nucleus. These are the different orbits. So these are the different orbits where electrons are revolving. Okay, number of orbits. Next, the last orbit is nth orbit. Nth orbit. Automatically this should be n minus 1th orbit. This is n minus 2 orbited. Something that means last orbit is taken as n. So n minus 1, n minus 2 towards nucleus, the number gradually decreases. Okay. Now this nth orbit is called as valency orbited or ultimate shell end. The common name for this nth orbit. So that is the last orbited, ultimate shell. Next, n minus 1th orbiter. This one is called as penultimate shell end. That means last but one. Last but one shell is called as penultimate shell. So this n minus 2 orbit is called as anti-penultimate shell end. Anti-penultimate shell. So these are frequently used words. So the last shell is called as nth shell, which is commonly called as ultimate shell. Second one is that is just before ultimate shell is the penultimate shell. Before that penultimate shell is called as anti-penultimate shell. For example, if atom contains, there is, for example, this is the nucleus. These are the different orbits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the orbits. This is nth orbit, ultimate shell, penultimate shell, anti-penultimate shell. These values are nothing but here n is equal to 5, here n is equal to 4, here n is equal to 3. This is ultimate shell, valency shell. It is anti-penultimate shell. It is anti-penultimate shell. Okay. Next here. Now, in these orbits, electrons are revolve around the nucleus. Those electrons which are present in the outermost orbit. So if this is the electron which is present in the outermost orbit, is called as valency electron. So those electrons present in the valency shell are called as valency electrons. Valency electrons. Next, those present in the inner shells. So these are the electrons present in the inner shell cell. These are all inner shell cells. These are all electrons present in the inner shell cell. All these electrons, except those valency electrons, are called as core electrons. Those electrons are called as core electrons. So see here, this one, inner electrons, this is, all these are present in the inner shell, except that outermost orbits, remaining electrons are all present in inner shells. Those electrons present in inner shells are called as core electrons. Core electrons. Okay, next, another wording, another important wording. What is that? Except this outermost orbit, remaining entire atom, this is the remaining part. This is the remaining part. This entire remaining part is called as kernel of the atom. Except that last orbit, remaining entire atom is considered as a kernel. Remaining total species, whether it is atom or ion, whatever it may be, except outermost, the remaining entire part is called as the kernel of the atom. Electrons present in kernel are called as core electrons. Electrons present in the kernel are called as core electrons. Those electrons present in the outermost orbit are called as valency electrons. So these are the technical words frequently used in the explanation. So do you have any doubts? Fire boys, do you have any doubts about these words? Please give your response. Now I am going to explain further topics. Okay. So kernel, inner part of the atom, except outermost, remaining is inner part is called as kernel. Electrons present in the outermost orbit are valency electrons. Electrons present in kernel or inner orbits are called as core electrons. Core electrons. Now these core electrons, that means present in the inner electrons, present in the inner orbit, decreases nuclear attraction. Nuclear attraction over outermost electron. Outermost electron. That is nothing but valency electron. That is nothing but valency electron. That means the electrons present in the inner orbit decreases the attraction of that nucleus over the outermost electron. How far? See here. See here. This is the nucleus of the atom. These are the different orbits present around the nucleus. These are the electrons present in the inner orbit. These are the electrons. Sorry, here is 1:2. These are the electrons present in the inner orbit. These are the electrons present in the outermost orbit. These electrons are called as valency electrons. These electrons are called as core electrons. Core electrons. So see here. This is the nucleus. Nucleus has what is the charge? Positive charge. Nucleus has a positive charge. Electrons have negative charge. Between these electrons and positive, the negative and positive, there is electrostatic attraction. Electrostatic attraction is possible. So between the outermost electrons and nucleus, there is an electrostatic force of attraction. This attraction is decreased by these electrons. That means these electrons they are present in between these two atoms. That means these electrons acts as a screen between this outermost electron and the nucleus shell. These electrons decreases the attraction between these two, outermost electron and nucleus shell. That decrease of electrostatic or nuclear attraction over the outermost electrons because of the presence of these inner electrons, these core electrons, is called as screening effect. That means these electrons act as a screen between valency electron and the nucleus shell. These electrons act as a screen between valency electrons and nucleus. So this is called as screening. That is called as screening. So because of these electrons, there is a screen between, because of this nuclear charge, nuclear attraction, because of this nuclear attraction over valency electrons decreases, and over valency electrons decreases. This is called as, because of screen, there is an effect that is called as a screening effect, or also called as shielding. Shielding effect. Screening effect or shielding effect, both are same. So those electrons present in the inner shell. That means if inner electrons are more, screen is more. If inner electrons are less, screen is less. So less is the electrons, more is the attraction. That is screen. For example, let us take an example. See here. Here is a magnet. It is North Pole, South Pole. Here is another magnet. It is South Pole, North Pole. Between these two, there is no one is there. There is no one is there. Okay. So between these two, there is an attractive force existent. Attractive force. Now I place a paper between them. It is a paper end. A small paper, that is a layer. Paper is just like a layer, is placed between them. Automatically, the attraction because of this paper decreases between them. If more and more papers are applied, that attraction gradually decreases as number of papers increases. Now, these papers here is taken as electron cell. More is the electrons between this nucleus and outermost electron, more is the attraction decreases. That decreasing effect is called as a screening effect. That means more inner electrons, more screening effect. More screening effect, less is the attraction between the nucleus and outermost electron. Okay, what is screening effect? The decrease of nuclear attraction over the outermost electrons because of presence of these valency electrons is called as, these core electrons is called as screening effect. Screening effect. So this is very, very important. Screening effect or shielding effect, both are same. So different words are used. That's enough. Screening effect and so just these electrons decreases the nuclear attraction over the outermost electrons. That is a screening effect. So this is clear or not? Just like these papers, these electrons are used. Yes, maybe possible, but I am going to explain only between nucleus and outermost electron. I don't want to explain between nucleus and core electrons. Okay, because this outermost electron attraction is more, that is those electrons are strongly attracted towards nucleus, automatically size will be decreases. That means total concept is influenced by that valency electrons and nuclear charge between that between the valency electron. Okay, so this is screening effect or shielding effect. Now I am going to calculate how much is the screening effect is possible. How much is the screening effect is possible. So calculation of screening effect, so which is called as effective nuclear charge. So how much is the effective nuclear charge over this outermost electron because of the presence of these core electrons. So that is called as, so that is calculation of screening effect, which is called as a screening constant. By using the screening constant, I am going to calculate effective nuclear charge. our topic is calculation of effective nuclear charge. Effective nuclear charge indicated with the letter Z star or Z effective. These are the letters used for effective nuclear charge. How to calculate this effective nuclear charge? See here, no doubt we know inner electrons, that is the core electrons, decreases the nuclear attraction over outermost electrons. Which electron, how much decreased? Now I am going to calculate this screening effect. So which electron decreases, how much value? How much value is decreased? Okay, see here. This is the nucleus. These are the different orbits. This is the nth orbit. This is n minus 1th orbit. This is n minus 2 orbit. Ultimate, penultimate, anti-penultimate shell. Okay. Now here n minus 2, roughly let it be 8 electrons are present. 8 electrons are present. Here 2 electrons are present. Let it be 10 electrons are present. Here 2 electrons are present. Let it be. 2 electrons are present. Now I want to calculate. That means these 2, 8, 10, all these 20 electrons, no doubt decreases this nuclear attraction over these electrons. How much is decreased? I want to calculate it. I want to go to calculate how much value is decreased. Now here I am going to calculate, so effective nuclear charge. So that is, I am going to calculate for this screening effect. How much is the screening effect for this electron? For this electron, this is also shielded. The electron which is also present in the outermost shell is also shielded this electron. Okay, so see here. So those electrons present in the outermost orbit, which is shield, decreases the nuclear attraction for every electron. That is 0.35 value decreased. Every electron decreases, which is present in the outermost shell, the nuclear attraction by a fraction of 0.35 of its atomic Z value. 0.35 of Z value, which is present in the outermost shell. That means the electrons present in the nth shell decreased Z value by a fraction of 0.35 per 1 electron. Per 1 electron, this much. More than 1 electron is there, this much into that much electrons. So nth orbit decreased by that much value. Next, those electrons present in the n-1 shell, decreases, nuclear attraction decreased by a fraction of 0.85 value of Z, atomic number Z, of Z value. Per electron, Z value per electron. Here, of Z value per electron. If it is nth orbital, it is n-1th orbital. It is applicable for n-1th orbital. For every n-1th electron, decreases the nuclear attraction over the outermost electron by a fraction of 0.85 of atomic number per 1 electron. Next, those electrons present in n-2 onwards, it is n-3. So nth one 0.35 is decreased, n-1 0.85 is decreased. So except those two, remaining all are decreased by a value of 1 per electron. 1 of Z. 1 of Z per electron is decreased by a value. So please here, please be. That means if atomic number is 17, among the 17, 0.35 per each electron is decreased by electron present in the outermost shell. Among the 17, 0.85 per electron is decreased, which is present in n-1 shell. Among the 17, 1 is decreased per electron, which is present in n-2, n-3 orbital towards nucleus. So these are the fixed values decreased by a fraction, which is present in the nth orbit 0.35 per electron, which is n-1th orbit 0.85 per electron. Fine. That means towards nucleus value is increased anyway. So which is nearer to the nucleus, nuclear attraction decreasing condition is more. Okay. Next, except that n and n-1 remaining electrons decreased by a fraction by a value 1 per electron. So by using these values, I am going to calculate screening effect. So that screening effect is explained on the basis of screening constant and indicated with the letter sigma. Indicated with the letter sigma. Now, what is the effective nuclear charge? So Z effective is equal to atomic number of that element minus this sigma value. That is the effective Z, which is also indicated with a Z star also. So Z star or Z is equal to Z effective is equal to atomic number of that element minus sigma. What is this sigma? Sigma is nothing but screening constant. Sigma. How to calculate this sigma? By using these values. These values, these are explained by the scientist Slater. That is why all these values are taken as Slater rules. Screening constant is calculated by Slater's rules. By using Slater's rules, I am going to calculate the screening constant. So that the atomic number is subtracted with the screening constant. That gives effective nuclear charge. If this value is more is the attraction. If this value is less is the attraction over that outermost electron by this nucleus. So is this clear, dear boys? Now I am going to explain one by one example wise. Okay. So see here. Now the question is, calculate the effective nuclear charge of valency electron of lithium atom. Lithium atom. I am going to calculate effective nuclear charge for lithium atom, which is for valency electron. See here, lithium. Atomic number 3. Atomic number 3. So that means its electronic configuration 1s2, 2s1. 1s2, 2s1 is the electronic configuration. Okay. Now, which is the valency electron here? This is the valency electron and only one electron. So for this effective nuclear charge, I am going to calculate. Okay. Now, this is nth orbit. This is n-1th orbital. So no extra electron is present in other than this electron, no electron is present in nth orbit. These are the two electrons present in the n-1th orbital. Now sigma is equal to only these electrons acts as screen for this one. Only these two electrons acts as a screen for this one. So 2 into, it is n-1th orbit, per one electron 0.85, therefore 2 into 85, that is 1.7. That is 1.7 is the value. It is sigma. Now Z effective or Z star is equal to atomic number 3 minus 1.7. Its value is equal to 1.3. It is the effective nuclear charge. Clear? Simplest example. It is the effective nuclear charge. Okay. Next, one more example. I'm going to calculate for boron atom. For boron atom. So I'm going to calculate for boron atom. See here. Boron. Atomic number 5. Electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. I'm going to calculate for this electron, Z effective is equal to how much? For that electron, Z effective is equal to how much? Now, this is total nth orbital, 2. It is n minus 1th orbital. Nth orbit, n minus 1th orbit. Next, these 4 electrons acts as a screen for this electron. These 4 electrons act as a screen for that electron. Therefore, sigma is equal to. So these are the 2 electrons present in the nth orbit. Therefore, 0.35 is the fractional value decreased. Plus, these are the 2 electrons present in the n minus 1th orbit. That is a 0.85 value decreased. It is a 0.7 plus 85 means 16, 1.7. That is 2.4 is the sigma value. Therefore, Z effective or Z star is equal to 5 minus that value 5 minus 2.4, which is equal to 2.6. That is the effective nuclear charge. Simulated words, easy or difficult? Waiting for you. What, Karthik, what do you want? Yes, thank you. So, Karthik, do you have any doubts? Karthik, do you have any doubts? Okay, next one. So something higher electronic configuration I am going to explain it. Let us take zinc. I am going to calculate for zinc end. So zinc atom. Okay. Now there are 2 electrons. One is shielding electron, another one is valency electron. So already in case of that is boron, I explained it. Now I am going to explain one more. So after this, you will your doubt is, I think your doubt will be clarified. Will clarify. That's why. See here, zinc. Its atomic number 38. Write down the electronic configuration, complete electronic configuration. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10. This is a 30 atomic number, that is atomic number zinc, its electronic configuration. Okay, now 1, it is 2, it is 3, it is 4, it is 3. Among these, which is the highest value? 4 only. Okay, this is valency shell. Valency shell. So that is why I am going to write this 3d10 beside third condition. So I am going to calculate valency shell for valency shell. So that's why I am going to rewrite this electronic configuration as 1s2, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 3d10, 4s2 means 1 plus 1. Karthik, this is your doubt. See here. 4s2 means 1 plus 1. Now I am going to calculate Z effective for this electron. Z effective for this electron. Now, this is nth orbit. This is n minus 1th orbit. All these are other orbits. Other orbits. Okay. Now, sigma is equal to. This is a 1 end. This acts as screen end. Therefore, 1 into, which is present in the nth orbit, 0.35 end. Plus 10 plus 8, 18 into n minus 1, 0.85 end. Plus these 8 plus 2, because remaining all are identical in it, so total 10 end. 10 into 1 end. 10 into 1. Okay, that is equal to 0.35 plus 18 into 0.85, that is a 15.3 plus 10 and altogether the value is 25.65. Okay, this is sigma value. Now, Z effective is equal to Z minus sigma, which is equal to Z value is how much? 30 minus sigma is 25.65, which is equal to 4.35. 4.35. That is the effective Z value. That is the effective Z value. Never, not possible. Okay. Next. This is for nth electron. This is for nth electron. Now I am going to calculate for 3D electron. For 3D electron, I am going to calculate for 3D electron. Okay. So for 3D electron, if in case it is the exception case, for 3D electron, see here. There is 4s2. I am going to calculate 3D electron Z effective angle. That's why, so beyond this are neglected, not possible. That those electrons not access screen for this one. Only before electrons access screen for this one. So these two electrons away from this 3D, so not access screen for this one. Next, those electrons, that is, this 10 is taken as 9 plus 1 end. Now I am going to calculate for this one. For this one, that is, so 9 electrons in 3D shell and 1 from, so those electrons present in the 3D shell are taken for 0.35 and remaining electrons and entire remaining electrons, how much are there? 10 plus 8. So 6, 2, 2, 10, 10 plus 8, 18. All these 18 electrons are applicable for 1 and it is the exception case for 3D cases. 3D electrons. So if you want to calculate Z effective for 3D, so those electrons from 3D use 0.35, remaining electrons use 1 remaining electrons. Okay. Now sigma for 3D electrons is equal to that 9 into 0.35 plus remaining 18 into 1. Therefore, which is equal to 21.15. Therefore, Z effective or Z star is equal to, that is 30 minus 21.15, which is equal to 8.85. It is the Z effective value. So in case if you want to calculate 3D electrons, except those electrons, remaining all are Z is equal to 1. So it is a 3D condition, it is the exception cases. So this is the way to calculate Z effective value. Z effective nuclear charge is calculated by this like this one. If this value is more, nuclear attraction over outermost electron is more. If this value is less, Z effective value is less, nuclear attraction over outermost electrons is less. Okay. So because more is the effective nuclear charge, because effective nuclear charge means remaining positive. More positive, more is the attraction. More less positive, less is the attraction. So Z is nothing but number of protons. More is the number of protons, more is the positive charge. More positive charge, more attraction towards that electron. Okay, Z is nothing but number of protons. No, every time one electron. Every time one electron. Okay, so these are the calculation of effective nuclear charge. This effective nuclear charge is also calculated by using the formula, another formula. If ionization energy is given to you, effective nuclear charge is also calculated by using another formula. If ionization is given to you, ionization energy of the element is given to you, that is Z effective is equal to Z star is equal to root E n square by 1312 only. Here E is equal to ionization energy of elements, ionization energy of element in kilojoule per mole, kilojoule per mole, or Z star is equal to E n square by 13.6n. Here E is equal to same ionization energy in electron volt per atom. So ionization energy in kilojoules is given to you, use this formula. Ionization energy in electron volts is given to you, use this formula. So where N is equal to, in both cases, N is equal to valency shell. If it is fourth orbit, last electron present in fourth orbit, N is equal to 4. Last orbit present in fifth orbit, N is equal to 5. N is nothing but valence shell. By using this formula, if you know the ionization energy of the elements, so this is the way to calculate effective nuclear charge. Okay, so these are the formula used to calculate effective nuclear charge. Effective nuclear charge. So very, very important. Next part. Now I am going to explain the periodic properties one by one. What is periodicity? Repetition of certain properties at a regular intervals 2, 8, 8, 18, 18, 32 is called as periodic properties, and the phenomenon is known as periodicity. So in the periodic properties, the first one is first periodic property. The first periodic property is atomic size or atomic radius. Atomic size or atomic radius. What is this atomic size or atomic radius? How to explain? So this is atomic size or atomic radius. So this concept is already in your 10th class. So see here, my boys. So this is also in your 10th class. So maybe available in your 10th class exams also. So listen carefully. So what is this atomic radius? Atomic radius is nothing but, so let us consider an atom. It is nucleus. These are the different orbits. So this is the electron present in the outermost orbit. The distance between the center of the nucleus to the outermost electron. The distance between center of the nucleus to the outermost electron is called as atomic radius. If more is the radius, more is the size end. That means atomic radius is nothing but size of the atom. That also explains the size of the atom. What is this atomic radius? Atomic radius is the distance between outermost electron and center of the nucleus. It is the distance between outermost electron and center of the nucleus. That is called as atomic radius. What are the factors that influence this atomic radius? If nuclear attraction is more, that attraction is strongly attracted by the nucleus. That electron is strongly attracted by the nucleus. That means that electron is slightly moving towards nucleus. Automatically size decreases. Previously this one, now because of more attraction like this one. Okay, so that means more is the nuclear charge, more is the effective nuclear charge, more is the attraction, more is the attraction, less is the size. More is the attraction, less is the size. That means this effective, that is this atomic radius is influenced by different factors. And what are those different factors which influences this atomic radius? So that is first one. Oxidation state of elements. Oxidation state of an element. Either it is positive or negative, positive, more positive, less positive. So say one by one, I am going to explain. Next, nuclear charge. Nuclear charge. Third one, nature of bonds. What type of bond is present between the atoms? Nature of bonds. Number of bonds. Number of bonds. Next, coordination number of atom and coordination number of atoms. These are the factors which influencing atomic size or atomic radius. Atomic size or atomic radius. So see here, oxidation stage. It is a charge present on element. Let us take atom A. It has 10 electrons and 10 protons. Let it be 10 electrons and 10 protons. If it loses one electron, minus electron, that gives A plus 1 charge. There, 9 electrons, 10 protons. 9 electrons, 10 protons. See here, previously 10 protons which are present in the nucleus. These 10 electrons present in the nucleus, these electrons present around the nucleus end. These 10 electrons attracts 10 electrons end. These 10 protons attracts these 10 electrons. But here, only these 10 electrons attract just 9 electrons. Here, 9 electrons are attracted by 10 protons. Here, 10 electrons are attracted by 10 protons. Where more attraction of this nucleus is possible. That means here, just 10 electrons attracts 9, 10 electrons attracts 10. That means less electrons attracted by more number of protons. That's why here more attraction is possible. In this case, more attraction is possible because less number of electrons attracted by more number of protons. More number of protons. More is the attraction, so automatically the electron is moving towards nucleus. That means size decreases. Size decreases. That means when compared to A, the size of A plus is less. When compared to A, the size of A plus is less. That means as positive charge increases, size decreases. As positive charge or negative charge, all these are nothing but oxidation state. If A has plus 1 oxidation state, automatically its size decreases. So more is the positive charge, less is the size. More is the positive charge, less is the size. That means, see here, atomic size or ionic size is inversely proportional to positive charge. Is inversely proportional to positive charge. More is the positive charge, less is the size. See here. Now, if one electron is added, now it becomes A minus N. A minus. Here, 10 plus 1, 11 electrons, only 10 protons, because protons are not changing. Addition of electrons, removal of electrons, just electron number is changing. That means here 10 protons attract 11 electrons. In this case, 10 protons attract 9 electrons. In this case, 10 protons attract 11 electrons. Here, less attraction is possible. Less attraction. That means size is more. Size is more. That means anion has more size than a neutral atom. That has more size than a positive ion. That means atomic size is proportional to negative charge of the species. Is proportional to negative charge of the species. So very, very, very important. Atomic size is directly proportional. Oxidation state. Positive oxidation state increases, size decreases. Negative oxidation state increases, size increases. So see here. So now among Cl minus, Cl plus, Which one has greatest size? Among Cl, Cl minus, Cl plus, which one has greatest size? More size, Cl minus. Least size. Least size. Third one. Okay, what is the order? Order of sizes. Two greater than, one greater than two. Sorry. Order of sizes. 1, 2, 3. 2 greater than, 1 greater than 3. Order of sizes 2 greater than, 1 greater than 3. So this is very, very important. More is the nuclear charge. Nuclear charge is inversely proportional to size. That is already explained on the basis of this concept. So nuclear charge, more is the nuclear charge, less is the size. Next, nature of bond. Where it is ionic bond, strong attraction is there, small size is less. Covalent bond, something more. Next, number of bonds. If, for example, between A and A, only one bond is there. Between A and B, there exist 2 bonds. Between A and C, there exist 3 bonds. Less is the number of bonds. Attraction is less. Attraction is less. Attraction is less means size is more. So size is inversely proportional to number of bonds. Number of bonds. More is the number of bonds, more is the attraction between these two, less is the distance between them. So less is the distance between them, automatically less is the. So this is explained later in this topic. See here. Okay. So these are different factors. So now I am going to explain different types of radii. Different types of atomic radii. My dear boys, it is very difficult to identify a single atom radius. It is very, very difficult to explain a single atom radius because it is not possible to collect an atom. It is not possible to measure that atom size. So that is why it is highly impossible to explain the atomic radius of a single atom. That is why there are different methods are useful to measure the atomic radius of different elements. So for that purpose, different ways are here I am going to use depending on the situation. So atomic radius, depending on the calculations, are broadly divided into 3 types. One is atomic size is broadly divided into 3 types. One is metallic radius, or simply it is called as atomic radius. Metallic radius or atomic radius. Second one, covalent radius. Third one, van der Waals radius. So metallic radius, covalent radius, van der Waals radius, these are the 3 types of atomic radii. 3 types of atomic radii. So this metallic radius for metal atoms. So for metal atoms, this radius is calculated, that's why it is called as metallic radius, or atoms in solid state. Atoms in solid state. If an element is in solid state, their metallic radius is considered. Next, covalent radius. It is for non-metals. That is for non-metals and gases. Covalent radius is applicable for non-metals and gases. Next, van der Waals radius. It is for noble gases not having any bond between the atoms. So covalent noble gases or inert gases. So between atom to atom, no bond is possible. No bond is possible. So ionic radius is entirely different from atomic radius. Please wait. So if there is no bond between two atoms, they are considered van der Waals radius. If bond is present, that bond is covalent bond. Now that is applicable for gases or non-metals. So if it is metals, that is applicable for metallic atoms. That is metallic radius is applicable. Now I am going to explain one by one. See here. See here. First one, metallic radius. Next, covalent radius. Next, van der Waals radius. Van der Waals radius. See here, it is applicable for solids. It is for gases. It is for noble gases. These are the straightforward conditions. In solids, see here, in solids, atoms are closely packed in. There is no gap between atom to atom. In solids, atoms are closely packed. Now I am going to consider it is not possible to identify a single atom. That's why here I am going to take two adjacent atoms. So let us take these are the two atoms. So this is the nucleus of first atom. This is the nucleus of second atom. Now I am going to take the internuclear distance between these two. Now half the value. Automatically that gives this the value any. This is nothing but radius of that atom. Am I correct? See here, these are the two side-by-side atoms. It is the nucleus of this atom, it is the nucleus of second atom. Now find out the internuclear distance between these two, distance between two nuclei. So just half them. Half them. This is the radius of first atom, this is the radius of the atom. Now I am going to calculate one of the radius. So now, what is metallic radius? Metallic radius is nothing but, it is half of the internuclear distance between two adjacent metal atoms. So it is because directly one atom is not possible to consider. That the internuclear distance is measured. So just halving of that internuclear distance automatically that gives atomic radius of that element. It is the atomic radius of the element. Okay, it is applicable if the atoms are like this. If the atoms are like this, is nothing but solids. And that means metallic radius is applicable for solids. Nothing but metals are solids. So for applicable metals, that is it is called as metallic radius. So sodium, magnesium like that. So this is applicable condition. Iron atom, iron, copper, all these are solid atoms. So that is their metallic radius is considered. That means for metals, this radius is considered. Next, for covalent radius. So that means it is gases. So here a covalent bond is present between the atoms of molecule. A covalent bond is present between the atoms of molecule. So now what is the covalent bond? That is see here. This is one atom. This is another atom. These two are overlapped each other. Overlapping of atoms, orbitals, is called as a covalent bond. So this is the nucleus of this atom. This is the nucleus of this atom. Now once again find out the internuclear distance. Now I am going to halve them. Half. This radius is called as metal. That is the radius of that atom. This is called as covalent radius. This is called as metallic radius. This is covalent radius. What is covalent radius? This is the half of the internuclear distance between two covalently bonded atoms. Two covalently bonded atoms. So these two are, here is a bond between. Here is a covalent bond between these two atoms. covalent bond between these two atoms. So that is why it is covalent radius. Among these two values, which is mostly identified, here atoms are side by side, just attached. Here atoms are merged. Now in this case, metallic radius must be greater than covalent radius. This distance, this value is more than that of this value. Metallic radius greater than covalent radius. If atoms are covalently bonded, automatically covalent radius is applicable. Automatically covalent radius is applicable. Next, van der Waals radius. What is this van der Waals radius? So van der Waals radius means there is an atom, there is another atom, there is no bond between these two, there is no bond between these two, but between them van der Waals force of attraction are possible. Van der Waals force of attraction, that means already we concluded that intermolecular forces, van der Waals forces, van der Waals attractive forces, intermolecular forces, those intermolecular forces are available here between this molecule to this atom to that atom. Okay, now I want to find out. So this is the nucleus of this atom, that is the nucleus of this atom. So center of these two are find out too, that is internuclear distance. Now once again, half them. This radius is considered as van der Waals radius. That means if there is no bond between the atoms, but those are attracted by van der Waals forces, now van der Waals radius is considered as the internuclear distance, which are, those two atoms are attracted by van der Waals forces, the internuclear distance, half of the distance is considered as van der Waals radius. Now, which is more among this van der Waals radius, covalent radius and metallic radius? No doubt, van der Waals radius is greater than metallic radius. Van der Waals radius is greater than metallic radius. Metallic radius greater than covalent radius. My dear boys, so this is applicable for noble gases because between noble gas molecules, no bonds are there. Just van der Waals forces are attractions. That is why for noble gases, van der Waals radius is considered. So for Cl2 molecule, for Cl2, between chlorine and chlorine, there is a covalent bond. Between chlorine and chlorine, there is a covalent bond. Now there is a covalent radius is applicable. For metals, it is metallic radius is applicable. No doubt, van der Waals radius greater than metallic radius is greater than covalent radius. Okay, so now this van der Waals to metallic radius, here it is 40% more, and van der Waals radius 40% more than that of metallic radius. Metallic radius, so practically these are proved. Metallic radius 20% more than that of covalent radius. Metallic radius 20% more than that of covalent radius. Metallic radius 20% more than that of covalent radius. Van der Waals radius 40% more than that of metallic radius. So these are the observable facts and observed facts. Very, very, very important. So finally, these are the different types of radii. If atoms are closely packed, just like molecules, just like solids, so metallic radius or simply atomic radius is identified. If they are merged, that is, they are bonded with covalent bond, covalent radius is considered. If they are attracted by van der Waals forces, van der Waals radius is considered. So that's why van der Waals radius is always greater than metallic covalent radius. Sorry, metallic radius. Metallic radius is more than the covalent radius. So that is 40%, 20% is the difference between them. 40%, 20% is the difference between them. So these are very, very important different types of radii. So if atom is considered, it is covalently bonded, covalent radius. If it is no attractive, no bond between them, that is the van der Waals radius. These are closely packed just like in solid, automatically metallic radius or simple radius is, atomic radius is applicable. Okay, these are different types of radii of atoms. So depending on the situation, okay, so what you have to consider is up to your mind. So based on your concept, so these are the applications. These are all atomic radii conditions. Now I'm going to explain ionic radiation. Ionic radius is entirely different from atomic radius. So what is atomic radius? It is the distance between center of the nucleus to the outermost electron present in the atom. If it is atom, atomic radius. If it is ion, that is ionic radius. The attraction of, that is the distance between center of the nucleus to the outermost electron of an ion, ionic radius, of an atom is atomic radius. Of an atom, atomic radius, of an ion, it is ionic radius. So no doubt, ionic radius, it may be negative ion or positive ion. So automatically, so that is Anion radius is greater than neutral, which is greater than cation radius. This is a different condition. Anion radius, cation radius. Anion radius is greater than atomic radius. So that is simple neutral atom. That is greater than that of cationic radius. More is the positive charge, less is the size. More is the negative charge, more is the size. So that means atomic size is directly proportional to negative charge and inversely proportional to positive charge. And inversely proportional to positive charge. All about these are atomic radii. Now this atomic radii. For noble gases, we consider only Van der Waals radius. For noble gases, we consider Van der Waals radius. Now, one by one, where atomic radius is how, that is in your periodic table. So that is in S block elements, in P block elements, in D block elements, and in F block elements. What is the atomic radii and their order? So once again, I am going to draw a rough diagram, but don't fill the elements here. It is not possible right now. Here is the block diagram. And two series. Here 14 elements, here 14 elements. These are lanthanides, these are actinides. Okay. Now, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, this is the periodic table. Now I am going to note the numbers 1 to 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. These two are S block elements. These 6 are P block elements. These 10 are D block elements. These 2 are considered as F block elements. These are the different blocks. Now, how this atomic radius varies in different blocks. In different blocks. So, atomic radius in particular periods. So, these are periods, left to right periods. Top to bottom groups. In periods from left to right, atomic radius gradually decreases. Atomic radius gradually decreases from left to right as moving in a period. Why, sir? Why this atomic radius decreases? No doubt, from left to right, so atomic number increases. That means the protons increases. That means nuclear charge increases, but not number of orbits. Orbit number not increasing. So same orbit, but nuclear charge increases. Nuclear attraction over the outermost electrons increases. Automatically atomic radius decreases. Automatically atomic radius decreases. Okay, that means in a period from left to right, atomic radius decreases due to increase in nuclear charge over the outermost electrons. Due to increase in nuclear charge over the outermost electrons, atomic radius decreases. Next, from top to bottom in a group. From top to bottom in a group, atomic radius gradually increases. From top to bottom. From top to bottom in a group, atomic radius gradually increases because from top to bottom as atomic number here it is hydrogen electronic configuration 1s1, next lithium 1s2 2s1 3s1 4s1, that means first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, number of orbits increases. As the number of orbits increases, size automatically increases. Size automatically increases. That is why from top to bottom, as atomic number increases, number of orbits around the nucleus increases, atomic radius increases. It is a rough concept. In a period from left to right, atomic radius decreases due to increase in nuclear charge as atomic number increases. In a group from top to bottom, atomic size increases because the increase in number of orbits as atomic number increases down the group. Here is increase in atomic number, increase in number of orbits. Here is increase in atomic number, increase in nuclear charge. Orbit number is fixed, that is number of orbits are not changed. So nuclear attraction increases, therefore atomic size decreases. Now one by one. So now this concept is also applicable for S block elements and P block elements. Now later, these are helium. That is helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. Those are all noble gas elements. So in your yesterday's exam paper, argon is the most abundant gas in air. Argon is the most abundant noble gas in air. So see here, when compared to previous group elements, that is fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, acetylene. So atomic size of neon is more than that of fluorine. Atomic size of neon is more than that. That means actually from left to right, atomic radius decreases. That means neon size is something less than that of fluorine. That is we expected. Neon size is something less than that of fluorine. That is expected. But practically we see that neon size is more than that of fluorine. Why, sir? Fluorine, covalent radius is considered. Neon, van der Waals radius is considered. Wherever van der Waals radius is applicable, van der Waals radius is always greater than the corresponding covalent radius. Therefore, neon size is more than that of fluorine. That means this concept, the decreased value is applicable only up to 17th group elements. 17 to 18 radius increase. 17 to 18 radius. That means when compared to chlorine, argon radius is more. Bromine to krypton radius is more. That means the concept is applicable only for up to 17 group elements. After 17 to 18, the size automatically increases because van der Waals radius applicable. Here covalent radius is applied, there van der Waals radius is applied. Van der Waals radius is greater than that of covalent radius. Therefore, noble gases have more radius than that of corresponding halogens. They are nearby halogen atoms. So that is atomic radius in noble gases. In particular, noble gases atomic radius is greater than that of nearby halogens. Nearby halogens. So because there covalent there is van der Waals radius is considered, here is covalent radius is considered. Covalent radius. Next, at the same time, in neon, where I am going to write, here I am going to write neon, atomic number 10, electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. 2p6 means 2px2, 2py2, 2pz2 also. That means all the electrons are filled in outermost. So filled orbitals, these electrons, repulsions are applicable. Those between these filled electrons, repulsions are dominated. As repulsions are applicable, automatically something more size is applicable. So according to repulsions or according to repulsions or according to van der Waals radius, so automatically noble gases have more size than that of nearby halogens. It is P block element, it is S block element. In D block elements, generally it is scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. Left to right, almost atomic radius slightly decreases. So roughly atomic radius slightly decreases. Okay. So next, in particular, F block elements. It is very, very important. In F block elements, these are not groups. So atomic number, lanthanides and actinides, it is 57. That is lanthanide elements. What is the number that is from lanthanide? That is 57 to 71 and atomic numbers. Total 14 elements and it is 90, that is 90 thorium. 90 to 103 elements atomic numbers. Here also 14 elements and okay. As atomic number increases in lanthanides, here also in actinides, as atomic number increases, so atomic radius or generally these have +3 oxidation state. Common oxidation for the Havelock elements is +3. +3 ionic radius decreases as atomic number increases in lanthanides. Atomic radius and their +3 ionic radius decreases. The gradual decrease in atomic or ionic radius in lanthanides as atomic number increases is called as lanthanide contraction. That is called as lanthanide contraction. What is lanthanide contraction? There is a contraction size as atomic number increases in lanthanide elements. In lanthanide elements and their +3 oxidation state ions, as atomic number increases, their atomic and ionic radii gradually decreases. The gradual decrease in atomic and ionic radii in lanthanides, the gradual decrease and reduce means contraction. The gradual decrease in atomic and ionic radii, that is +3 ions ionic radii, as atomic number increases, the decreasing tendency is called as a lanthanide contraction. Why, sir? Why this contraction is applicable? That is very, very important towards your objective side and also subjective side. That is the explain lanthanide contraction is a very, very important. So what is this lanthanide contraction? How to explain? Dear boys, up to this, clear? S block elements, left to right size decreases, top to bottom size increases. P block elements, left to right size decreases, top to bottom size increases. But and compared to halogens and noble gases, noble gas radius is more than that of corresponding halogen atom. Because there van der Waals radius is applicable, here is only covalent radius is applicable. But D block elements roughly, gradually the value decreases. Gradually decreases. But in lanthanide contraction is applied. Now I am going to explain that lanthanide contraction here. See here. Lanthanide contraction. In lanthanide elements, as atomic number increases, their atomic size and +3 ionic size gradually decreases. This is called as lanthanide contraction. In lanthanide elements, as the atomic number increases, their atomic size and ionic size gradually decreases. Not suddenly, it is gradually decreases. This is called as lanthanide contraction. Okay. Now, why, sir? Why that value gradually decreases? How to explain this atomic and ionic radii decreases? So that is based on the concept here. See, what is the reason behind it? I am going to explain the reason. Because it is applicable in lanthanide, that's why it is lanthanide contraction. If it is actinide, there should be actinide contraction. Similar way. In lanthanide, general outermost electronic configuration is n minus 2, that is a block element sign. N minus 2 f 1 to 14, n minus 1 d 1 or 0, ns2 is the electronic configuration. For a block element, our electronic configuration is this much. Now, for lanthanides, n is equal to 6 because these are present in sixth period. So period number is equal to n. Therefore, electronic configuration is, put n is equal to 6 there. 4f, 1 to 14, 5d, 1 or 0, 6s2 is the electronic configuration for lanthanides. For lanthanides, the electronic configuration is 4f, 1 to 14, 5d, 1 or 0, 6s2. That means 4f, 1 to 14 means first one electron, second electron, third electron, up to this 14 electrons are added. That means for atomic number increases, every electron entered into the 4f orbital, not 5d, not 6d. It is nth orbital. It is n minus 1th orbital. It is n minus 2 orbital. That means every newly added electron entered into n minus 2 orbit, not n and not n minus 1th orbital. It is n minus 2 orbit. Where this n minus 2 is available? This is the nucleus. These are the different orbits. These are the different orbits. This is nth orbit. This is n minus 1th orbit. This is n minus 2 orbit. That means every time the added electron now entered into the n minus 2 orbital. That n minus 2 is nearer to the nucleus when compared to nth orbit. So if it is nearer to the nucleus, automatically nuclear attraction over these electrons is more as the atomic number increases. So automatically the size is slightly decreases. Because of that, size decrease. Because of that, size decrease. At the same time, these f electrons have poor screening effect. Screening effect already I told to you. That is, inner electron decreases the attraction over outermost electron. Nuclear attraction over outermost electron. That effect is called as screening effect. These, that is the f electron, less screening effect because of its particular shape. It has a dispersed shape. Because of that, screening effect is less. Screening effect is less. Strong attraction between that over outermost electron and nucleus. Because of poor screening effect of f orbitals, there is a strong attraction between nucleus over outermost electron. Automatically, strong attraction gives there is a contraction in the size. Because of that, the size decreases. So the basic two reasons are there. Every time the added electron entered into the 4f orbital, that is anti-penultimate of the orbital. Anti-penultimate shell, which is nearer to the nucleus, automatically nuclear attraction over those electrons is increased, size decrease. At the same time, because of dispersed shape of f orbitals, these f orbitals have poor screening effects. Because of poor screening effect, nuclear attraction over outermost electrons is very high. Because of that, size decreases. Automatically, size decreases. Therefore, so in lanthanides, because of these two reasons, the size gradually decreases as atomic number increases. That is called as a lanthanide contraction. So is this clear? Because of poor screening effect of f orbitals, and every added electron is entered into the n minus 2 of orbital, that is anti-penultimate shell orbital. Because of these two reasons, so nuclear attraction over outermost electrons is more, therefore size gradually decreases. The gradual decrease in size of atomic and ionic size. So the gradual decrease in atomic and ionic size of lanthanide elements as the atomic number increases is called as lanthanide contraction. Poor screening effect means less attraction. That is, those inner electrons less shielded. Only in case of lanthanides and actinides also. Actinides, that is for f block elements. Actinides also it is applicable. Okay, screening effect means so the decreases the attraction of the nucleus over outermost electron. Less screening effect means less decrease. That means a strong attraction. It is due to shape of the f orbitals. So the dispersed shape, not a particular shape. Because of that, so no strong attraction over nuclear, that is outermost electron, and that's why size is decreasing. Now, what are the consequences of this lanthanide contraction? Consequences of lanthanide contraction. Because of this lanthanide contraction, So lanthanide element, let it be Ln. La means lanthanide element. Not lanthanide, my dear boys. Because lanthanide symbol is Ln. Lanthanum. Sorry, it is Ln. Ln. That is lanthanide element. So lanthanide is Ln, lanthanide. Okay, it is lanthanide element. So these are metals. Their MO lanthanum element. These are hydroxy compounds. Basic in nature. Basic in nature. So because of this, so this lanthanum element, as Z value increases, size decreases. It is nothing but lanthanide contraction. As size decreases, the basic nature of this compound also decreases. The basic nature of those compounds. That means lanthanide element's basic nature as left to right decreases because of this lanthanide contraction. So that is basic nature directly proportional to size. Directly proportional to size of metal atom. So, for example, sodium hydroxide is there, magnesium hydroxide is there. Sodium, magnesium. Sodium size is more, magnesium size is less. Sodium hydroxide is strong basic than magnesium hydroxide, less basic. When compared to NaOH, MgOH is less basic. Both are strong, but it is more, it is less. So it is more in size, it is less in size. More size atom has more basic nature. So left to the right, size gradually decreases. Automatically their basic nature also decreases. So that is lanthanum OH thrice hydroxy compounds and their basic nature decreases as atomic number increases. It is due to lanthanide contraction. It is due to lanthanide contraction. It is very, very important. So these are different points in atomic and ionic radius crisis. Next, what is the atomic radius in isoelectronic species? What is the atomic radius in isoelectronic species? So in isoelectronic species, the atomic radius is like this. Atomic or ionic radius in isoelectronic species. Isoelectronic. What is the meaning of isoelectronic? Iso means same. Same number of electrons. Isoelectronic means the same number of electrons. Let us take different examples here. Neon. Atomic number 10 and that means 10 electrons, 10 protons. Next element, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, like this. Okay. Sodium, atomic number 11, 12, 13, 14. Here, 11 protons, 12 protons, 13 protons, 14 protons. Now I am going to take Na plus Mg plus 2, Al plus 3, Si plus 4. That is losing of electrons. So 11 plus 1 means 1 electron lose, 10 electrons. Plus 2 means 10 electrons. 2 electrons are lost. 3 electrons are lost. 4 electrons are lost. These are the number of electrons. That means in all these cases, number of electrons are same, isoelectronic. Similarly here it is, previous cases. Fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, like this. So Fluorine, atomic number 9, 8, 7, 8, atomic number. These are atomic numbers. Next, it contains 9 protons, 8 protons, 7 protons. Now I am going to take F minus, O minus 2, N minus 3. Minus means gaining of electrons. Gaining of electron means 1 electron is added. It is 10 electrons. It is 2 electrons added, 10 electrons. 10 electrons. 3 electrons added, 10 electrons. That means all these have same number of electrons. Now it is an isoelectronic series. These are nothing but isoelectronic series. In isoelectronic series, now what is the atomic radius? So some are negative ions, some are positive ions. Already I explained that atomic radius is directly proportional to negative charge and inversely proportional to positive charge. That means left to right, negative charge decreases, positive charge increases. Atomic or ionic size or radius decreases. Atomic or ionic size decreases. More is the negative charge, more is the size. Greatest size this one, least size that one. So neutral one is same one. So in isoelectronic species, as atom positive charge increases, size decreases. As negative charge increases, size increases. So neutral has between them and the sizes. So these are isoelectronic species. So how is this?